The deadlift. This is the scourge of so many people's lifting careers, especially when they start lifting and like, I have no idea how to deadlift. I keep smacking my shins against the bar. I keep tweaking my back. I know what that's like, personal experience. I went through a phase where that's all I did was just scratch my shin, tweak my back. And the reason why was, it just felt weird to me to shift my weight backwards. I have a theory that as a distance runner, myself and many runners were so used to leaning forwards and catching ourselves repeatedly for thousands and tens of hundreds of thousands of steps that we've done for the past X amount of years for our running careers. We're so used to leaning forwards that the moment that we're coached and have told, hey, you have to lean backwards now, like my CrossFit coaches realized, I look at you and I say, I'm doing it. And you look at me and you say, no, you're not, Matt. What are you doing? You're not leaning back, and that's why you're tweaking your back. So it can be very frustrating when your brain is so used to just doing one thing, and that one thing for me was leaning forwards while I was running. But it doesn't even have to be that. It can be you're just not used to shifting your weight backwards, right? Maybe you have a job where you sit down a lot, maybe as an accountant, maybe as a bookkeeper, or just a lawyer, somebody who sits down a lot, right? That can catch up to us, and we're just not used to shifting our weight in these different directions. So spending some time, not even with the barbell, right? If you grab the barbell and you start doing deadlifts and you're like, I feel tweakiness in my back, we probably have to back off and say, hey, maybe mobility is an issue, but let's just make sure that we're cueing things the right way and moving the right way. So if you don't have a PVC pipe at home, grab your closest broom, right? Anything that's like this, it's built like basically it doesn't have to be a tube, but just something that's long, circular-ish, and slender, so you can hold on to it and just light. I want something light so we can practice this form without tweaking our back. At least we shouldn't tweak our back doing this unless we're doing something crazy wrong. But the purpose of this video is talking about just some easier things, some simple cues we can do to improve our deadlift. And the main one's going to be shifting our weight backwards. So I'm going to show you a couple different, first let me show you what it's supposed to look like, and then we'll break it down and talk about it. So there's two parts of this. It's the bar, you're hanging, pretending there's plates on here right when we get it down there. It's from the shins to the knee, and then the knee essentially to the hip. So when we're down here, I'll do it a couple times just to show you what it's supposed to look like, and then we'll go and take the steps and really break this down. So what we're doing here is, the goal is when we're coming down with the bar, first of all, how do you grab the bar? Shoulder-ish width apart, a little bit wider, there you go. And so when we're coming down to the bar here, I want you to notice that this bar should move in a straight line, in a line, all lines are straight I guess, but in a line the entire time, right? So when we're coming up here, that bar shouldn't have a bump or anything like this going on as it's coming up. So focus, hey, keeping the bar in a nice line the entire time. And when we're coming down here, I want you to focus on loading your hamstrings, right? This is the simplest cue we can do when you have the bar here, right? Before we even go down, squeeze the glute, right? We can get into the weeds about this, but squeeze the glute. So we're here, my glute is squeezed, and to start this motion, if you want, you can actually put your hand here with the PVC pipe, we can do this. Push your hips back, right? I want you to start this motion with that hip hinge backwards. So we're here, hands on my hips, I'm pushing backwards, and I want you to feel the hamstrings load as you're doing this. So even here, just do 5 of these, pushing back. Like, oh, I start to feel it, push it back. Pushing the hips back. Pushing back. This is a fantastic way to load the hips, load the hamstrings. So now, again, pushing the hips back first, then bend the knees. You should feel, hey, I'm loading my hamstrings, and the bar should be sliding down the legs, right? We're here, the bar sliding down. Get a little more away from the wall. And we don't have to go super far down, but we're here. If you're having issues getting into this position, I'll challenge you and say, hey, making sure we're not sticking our butt up like I was in the beginning here. From the front, bam, want to make sure that this kind of elbow area is right in line with my knees. If I'm too high, something's going to be off. My elbows might be a little bit higher as well. This is that very good starting position we want to be in. So the goal is getting down there, start with the hip motion first, loading up the hamstrings, right? These are simple things we can think about. Load up the hamstrings. Where here, I should feel a lot of tension in my hamstrings, right? If my butt's up a little bit, right, I might have some tension, but think, hey, if I'm leaning too far forward, you should feel that weight shift to more of the ball of the foot. We want the weight more in the heels, also centered over, over the foot here. So again, we're here, and as we're coming up, it is the butt and your shoulders will rise at the same time, if that makes sense. So again, everything is rising at the same time here. But the moment the bar hits our knees, things change. But the hips and the shoulders will rise at the same time in this phase. The moment they hit the knees, now it's game on, and we're going to be able to, we're scooping the bar. So once that bar hits our knees, all right, we're in this good position, weight shifted back, feel my glutes and hamstrings really engaged, and it's just a hip thrust up. Again, from the knees, hit the thrust, and our lats are engaged, so it's pulling the bar, right, keeping it close. Basically, you want it to ride. You don't want it to be up here the whole time. It's riding, right, riding the hips here. And again, starting down here, again, load the hamstrings, right? We're here, push them back, load the hammies up. Like, oh, I feel a lot of tension in my hammies. And when we're down here, I want you to think about bend the bar. We're doing this guy here, we're bending that bar, creating tension in our lats, squeezing our shoulders, squeezing our elbows together. Core is engaged. And when I come up, I'm literally squeezing my glute. I want you to think about, hey, your glute, there's a quarter between your butt cheeks, squeeze the quarter, and when you come up, those hamstrings are loaded. Those hamstrings allow that glute to do what it's supposed to do. If my glute's not active, my hamstrings aren't engaged, it's going to be much more difficult for me to use that glute muscle. I know we went over a lot. Please pause it, go back, watch it. But this is just an intro to deadlifting, right? Using the PVC pipe, we don't have to even touch the barbell yet, because I want to keep tweaking our back, but using the PVC pipe to get used to that, shifting our weight backwards.